Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Kayfabe Central podcast. We are back with the headlines in pro wrestling this week. I'm your host, Josh, as always. If I sound tired, it's because I am. I've had a pretty long week, and I feel like I'm always tired when I come up here. Like, everyone's just gonna get sick of just hearing it, like, oh my god, this guy's always tired. I am always tired. As I was doing the notes for this podcast, because we have like a little bit less than an hour before SmackDown starts, so I gotta um, try my best to get this out before SmackDown if that's even possible. Um, but as I was doing the notes for this, I was falling asleep. So, yeah, I am exhausted, but it is Friday, and after SmackDown, there's not anything else, so I am just going to sleep, honestly. Um, but yeah, so we're gonna get straight into this. But before we do, you know the drill. We're gonna get into some self promo. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, the podcast, the interviews. I had a great interview with Gabriel Fuerza, and I just posted a video, an interview, sorry, with Kobe Durst. So go ahead and check that out. I'm going to be sharing more clips about that tomorrow and the days to come. So make sure you go ahead and check out that Kobe Durst interview. That was a really cool interview. It was the first in-person interview I've done. And yeah, I got a lot more interviews lined up. Got a lot of more big stuff and announcements to come to the channel. So make sure you stay tuned for that. And you're following me on all social media so you are up to date with all of the newest updates and announcements. But yeah, with that being said, we're gonna get into some of these things here. Um, so first things first, I did a podcast on this. I think this was for the last week headlines. Um, but we do have a little bit more info on the WWE releases, and particularly with Riley Osborne. Obviously, we know Blair Davenport got released from the company. From what I've been, and honestly, this is more speculation than anything. This is not um, a actual official report, but based on what's came out about Riley Osborne being released due to personal issues or whatever the headline was there, um, I'm going to assume that the people that Blair Davenport didn't like, he didn't as well, and it was often him coming to the defense of her a lot of the time. And I'm gonna assume that's the case. Obviously, like I said, this is not an official report. This is just me speculating, and because of that, it could have gotten him released. I do know after he got released, he said something about like how they can't get a house anymore. And honestly, I understand that frustration. I really do, and that really does suck for them there. And I'd be upset too. I'd honestly be really mad as well. Um, but yeah, so that's the information we got on there, and like I said, that's speculation on that. Um, yeah, I talked a lot about this last week, but like a lot of these releases, as shitty as it is, as people losing their jobs, it does like some of these do make sense. Like in the grand scheme of things, like Braun Strowman was a shock, but at the same time, he he had that knee issue or that leg issue, and that kind of slowed him down a bit. And then on the roast of WrestleMania, there was Paul Heyman that saying like Braun Strowman wasn't on WrestleMania because he sucks, and apparently Paul said that on the Pat McAfee show as well. So there's a lot of things going on there. Um, I am sad about the release of Cora Jade. Um, I think wherever she goes, she's gonna do great things, and I am a fan of Cora Jade. There's a lot of people that are going out and saying like she got injured a lot and she wasn't good, which the injuries things is it is true. She did get hurt a lot. But I honestly think she had the a lot of potential, and I think wherever she goes, she's going to seek that potential. I don't know where she's going to end up. It could be AEW, it could be TNA, it could be somewhere else. We're just gonna have to wait and see where she ends up going. So yeah. In terms of the other talent release, Baszler, I I understand it to a degree as well. They weren't really using her, and especially with them, with WWE taking over like AAA contracts, which I'm going to get into in just a little bit. But I do understand the Baszler release, and yeah, it does suck that some of these guys, these guys and women left and got released. And I'm a fan of a lot of them that got released. Particularly Dakota Kai, which is one that really stung because I am a huge fan of Dakota Kai, and she's another one I think has the utmost potential and is going to succeed wherever she ends up going. But speaking of contracts, I just alluded to it. Um, WWE is taking over certain AAA contracts, so I think for all of them. And if this were a couple days ago, I would have had a different thought process on this, but I have gotten some more information on this, and so um, Alberto Del Rio was one of the contracts that they picked up. And when I first saw this, I was like, "Oh no, this means Del Rio is going to be on TV." And if you've listened to previous podcasts of mine, you will know that is not something I want. I would be better off not seeing him on my TV screen. And I'm not going to watch AAA. It's not something I'm going to watch. I'm not going to watch the pay per views. Even if you were to tell me, like, oh, Rey Mysterio is going to be on their pay per view, or you're not going to watch it. No, I'm not going to. Um, and yeah, I hope that Alberto Del Rio doesn't show up on WWE. I don't think that he will. I think they're going to refrain from doing that. But I believe WWE owns like 51% of AAA. And I think it's like a legal thing over in Mexico where they have to have control over the contracts there. I don't know the specifics of that, but I did see that it's some sort of law. So it doesn't necessarily mean that Del Rio will be on WWE television. Um, I would like to see like someone like El Hijo del Vikingo on like Raw, SmackDown, or like NXT. He's definitely gonna be on the Worlds Collide show for NXT. I can definitely see that. But yeah. And speaking of luchadors, I just for fun, El Grande Americano won the WWE Speed Championship. I don't watch Speed, and but good for Chad Gable. He crossed off his goal that he wanted to win a singles title in WWE this year, and it's on X, and nobody's watching it really. But congratulations to him. Um, I don't know how long they're gonna drag this out for. I can see it being dragged out until like SummerSlam, maybe. I hope that's like where they cut it off. I can see him having a match on the Worlds Collide show for NXT because it's gonna be like all luchadors, and yeah, and I think well, Rey Mysterio was supposed to be on that show, but because of the injury, he's not going to be on there. But yeah, I can definitely see El Grande Americano being on that Worlds Collide show. But congrats to him for winning the Speed Championship. We were on the topic of contracts and stuff like that. The Righteous has left AEW and Ring of Honor. I didn't pay too much attention to them, to be honest, and I'm not huge fans of them. I don't know where these guys end up. I don't know if they end up in WWE. There was a thing where Karrion Kross like had a post where their theme song was in the back, and people were saying, "Oh, the Righteous is gonna go to WWE and be a faction with Cross," and like it's not out of the realm of possibility. Like, it's definitely possible that the Righteous goes to WWE and aligns with Cross, which I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to. I think it would be interesting if they aligned with him, but I don't know if it will happen. Their contract is supposed to be up at the end of this year, but they just wanted to get released early. They granted them that, and yeah, I can see them like appearing in like MLW and a bunch of other big indie promotions. So yeah, curious to see where they go, and yeah, maybe they do end up in WWE with Karrion Cross. Another topic I put in here just for fun, because we need some good news in today's world. A lot of time when I'm reporting, it's bad news. Big E is engaged to Mia Yim's sister, Michin's sister, Mia Yim, whatever you refer to her as. But yeah, Big E is engaged to her sister. I can't remember her name, and yeah, I do not remember her name off the top of my head. But I am really happy for Big E. I am, and with the whole neck thing, we don't know if he's going to be back in WWE, if he's ever going to wrestle again. And I remember like the on the New Day podcast, he was like, wasn't opposed to marriage, but he was like, if it doesn't happen, it's not the end of the world. So I am happy to see him, getting married and just being happy in general. Um, I will say that Thanksgiving dinner is going to be something. You have Big E, Keith Lee, Mia Yim. Yeah. So it's just a matter of time before we get Big E and Keith Lee versus the New Day. That would be pretty cool. Um, yeah, two guys I want to see back in the ring, and hopefully we do get it one day. Um, don't have a transition for this, but Joe Hendry is now number 2 in WWE merchandise, just behind Roman Reigns, and he's above John Cena, Jey Uso, and Stone Cold Steve Austin. Um, this is pretty cool. There's been a lot of people saying that it's a lock that he's gonna go to WWE, and here's the thing I have with that: Joe Hendry is incredibly talented, but he even said this himself. Um, how long is this I believe stuff going to last? And it sounds rude, but there's no other way to really put it. It's meme material that he's doing here. And that's not taking away from Joe. I love Joe Hendry. I love this gimmick and I love everything about it. But in the grand scheme of things, how long is it going to last, right? And it could last a very long time. They could sign him to a long contract, and this lasts a long time. I mean, like, look at the what chant. So I don't think this is going to be like the what chant though. I think eventually it will, die out a little bit, and that's nothing against him. It just happens in wrestling. When this thing something happens over and over again, it just, okay, this is not that funny anymore. It's not that entertaining anymore. I want to see something switched up. And he even pointed that out himself. So yeah, it would be interesting to see him sign to WWE, but like I said, I don't know how long the I Believe stuff is going to last. Um, Something else interesting here, and this has been like the main thing that Twitter and like Instagram has been talking about. Javon Evans and Ricochet got into it on Twitter. Um, I think that this on both sides is ridiculous. And Ricochet did start it by saying like, "Oh, I'd squash him" or whatever. I think he responded to a fan. Ricochet started it, and Javon Evans made it worse. With his comments about Tony Khan being a crackhead and the attendance of AEW shows, and then Ricochet came back saying how much people does the PC hold and things like that. So yeah, this doesn't look good on either of them. Honestly, neither of them came out of this looking good. And I think that they both need to be sat down and be like, you know what, this is, like, this can't happen again. And, yeah, I'm a fan of both. I like both Javon Evans and Ricochet, but in terms of this situation, I'm not taking either side. I think that this could have honestly been avoided. I understand that this is Ricochet's gimmick where he's just a troll on Twitter. I get that, but at the same time, um, you can't say something about somebody in a whole nother promotion and expect no response. And Javon Evans responded, and he did take it a little bit far. And he made the situation a little bit worse. The tweets ended up getting deleted. So yeah, I think they just both need to be sat down and be like, okay, this needs to be toned down a little bit. Um, the WWE Evolve Championships have been revealed. I haven't watched Evolve in weeks because I just can't get invested into it. I can't get invested into the characters and the storylines, and because there's not much storylines in it. It's just matches, really. That's all it really is, and I'm just not invested in it. And I watch a lot of wrestling to the point where it's like, okay, this can just be put on as background noise. Honestly, um, there's only a few people on Evolve that I'm really invested in. Um, Jordan Oasis is somebody that I have met before when I was wrestling, and I think he's a really good wrestler, and I think he does have potential. He has a very interesting gimmick, a very different gimmick with the whole backpack thing, and I think people should be paying a lot more attention to him. I like Zeta Steel. I was talking about the championships and I completely went off track. I was gonna mention Zeta Steel, but I do like Zeta Steel. So the championships look fine. They have the white strap for the women's championships and all that. So yeah, they look fine. They look about the same. And the way they're doing this, though, I don't fully agree with. They're doing two fatal four-way matches. Um, and I can't fully remember who's in the men's matches. I know that they have there's been potential that Zeta Steel will be in the women's fatal four-way match. So and then there was the potential that Nikita Lyons would be in there, and I'm going to be honest. I hope not. And if she is, I hope she doesn't win it. There was a point in time where I was a fan of Nikita Lyons and I thought she had potential, but as this sounds really bad, and I don't mean it in a rude and disrespectful sense, but the recent WWE releases, the people that got let go, and I am surprised that Nikita Lyons is still there. I am very surprised at that. And that's not me wishing somebody loses their job. It's just me as an analyst analyzing the WWE releases, looking at who's still there, and I see Nikita Lyons still there, and she's not doing much. I'm not a fan of her work as of recent, and I think I was honestly surprised that she made it past that those cuts there. But yeah, I don't want to see Nikita Lyons as Evolve Women's Champion. So yeah, that's Evolve. Like I said, I haven't been paying too much attention to it. So yeah. What else do we have here? So we'll get into some SmackDown and Raw review. For SmackDown last week, nothing much happened. Um, we had Fraxian won the tag match, cool. Aleister Black beat the Miz. We expected that. Nothing else happened on SmackDown too interesting. The one interesting thing that did happen is the whole Jade Cargill, Naomi, Tiffany Stratton, Nia Jax thing. There is a number one contenders match, and I am forgetting who exactly is in it. I believe it's Jade and Naomi, if I'm not mistaken, in that number one contenders match. And regardless of the fact, I don't think that this is going to end in a clean finish. This is going to end in some sort of disqualification. And I think this is going to end up being a fatal four-way at Saturday night's main event between Tiffany, Nia, Naomi, and Jade. So yeah, I can see that being the case there. Um, Nothing else there on SmackDown. In terms of Raw, again, nothing much. We had Paul Heyman completely crashing out on Monday Night Raw, where he had this promo with Jey Uso saying, I'm always in the wrong. I was just doing what's right with me, but everyone was pointing the finger at me that I'm the betrayer. Really cool promo there from Paul Heyman. I liked that a lot. And then we had a match, Seth Rollins versus Jay for the world title in the main event. And, it ended up getting interrupted by, with Braun Breaker, Sami Zayn. CM Punk returned after getting beat down by Rollins' faction. So, yeah, pretty cool stuff. And then after Raw went off the air, Logan Paul clocked Jey Uso with the right hand. And I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. I am not a fan of this world title reign for Jey Uso. And I said this right when he won the world title. I said that this is underwhelming. And I like Jey Uso. And he's a really, he's really charismatic. The crowd loves him. I love him. I even find myself, at home just yeeting myself. But in terms of an analyst perspective, I don't think that this title reign is all that. And I am honestly just hoping Seth Rollins beats him very soon. It's not going to be at Saturday night's main event because that's going to be the Logan Paul match, which I don't even know why they're doing. The next couple pay-per-views are NXT. It'll be like Battleground and then the Worlds Collide. So the next one would be Money in the Bank. And I really hope they don't drag this out until SummerSlam because I really don't think Jey Uso needs to hold the title for that long. And I'm hoping that they just pull the trigger at Money in the Bank. I don't know who wins the actual Money in the Bank ladder match. It is a possibility that Braun Breaker could just win it. Yeah, but in terms of that, nothing else really happened. We have some rumored news here that it's rumored that Jeff Cobb or Goldberg, or maybe both, could appear at Backlash tomorrow night. It's a 5-match card tomorrow. In terms of Jeff Cobb, the only thing that makes sense to me for him appearing is to help Dom retain, and he joins the Judgment Day, and then eventually kicks Finn and JD out. That's the only thing that makes sense if you have to have, I almost said Jacob Cobb, I don't know why, Jeff Cobb on Backlash. In terms of Goldberg, I think that he confronts Gunther, Gunther beats Pat McAfee, and then maybe continues the attack after the match, and then Gunther, Goldberg comes out and confronts him. There was people saying that he could confront John Cena, and I'd honestly rather see the Gunther match than see Goldberg and John Cena. And I think the Gunther possibility has a higher chance of happening. So some NXT stuff that happened here. Myles Bourne won the 25-man Battle Royal to earn a title shot against Oba Femi at NXT Battleground. This shocked me, and I'm not mad at it. I don't hate it, and I think this is what's really cool about Battle Royals, that anybody can win, and I really like that they played into that idea. A lot of people thought Trick Williams was going to win, but then, they have the whole thing with him and Joe Hendry and all that stuff, with TNA, and then they're fighting for the TNA title at Battleground. So, this shocked me. He's obviously not going to win, but this is cool. This is really cool for Myles Bourne. And I like this idea of a random push instead of, someone just interrupting and going that route. This is what a battle royal is for, and you come out and shock everybody with a win in the battle royal. Anybody can win. So and that's what Myles Bourne did. So good on him for getting this opportunity at Oba Femi. I think that Charlie Dempsey's either inadvertently cost him or blatantly just cost him out of jealousy at Battleground. So yeah, so good stuff there. Nothing else happened much on NXT that I can think of off the top of my head, and I didn't write anything else for NXT here. But honestly, NXT was the better show compared to Raw this week and SmackDown last week, and I can only imagine it'll be better than SmackDown tonight. So yeah, that's that. AEW has a new theme, You Wanted War by Sum 41. So I didn't actually watch AEW this week. If you follow me on social media, I tweeted out that that was a hectic evening for me, which it was, and I just didn't want to do the coverage that night because of how hectic everything was. But I did catch a few things, and I did watch a lot of things back. So we're gonna wrap up with some AEW stuff. This is fine. I don't really care for themes that much for shows. I don't really pay attention to it. It sounds like a pretty decent song, so I kind of like the previous one before, though. I forget what it's called, but I do like the previous theme song a little bit better if we're really being critical of it. So, but yeah, again, I don't really pay too much attention to the theme song. So, Ricochet stole Zach Gowen's prosthetic leg on Collision, and it's now been announced that Zach Gowen's actually going to have a match against Ricochet on Dynamite, which is interesting. Like, it's also cool to have Zach Gowen here on AEW because, a nostalgia thing, right? We haven't seen him for a long time, and I don't think he's wrestled in a very long time. So this is going to be interesting to see him go up against Ricochet. Yeah, very interesting stuff there. I don't think I have anything else to say about this. Yeah, I don't really have anything else in terms of Ricochet and Zach Gowen. But on the topic of nostalgia, Rhino made his AEW debut. He lost to Nick Wayne in a fairly quick match for the ROH TV title. And yeah, and I saw a stat that Rhino's now wrestled in like pretty much every single company and promotion. So that's really cool, and he looks the same. I don't know what he's doing, what his diet is to age this well, but he's aging really well, and he looks the exact same. Same thing with like R-Truth. I need to know what diet they're on, so I can start ahead. But yeah, that's all I have for the headlines of the week. I got through this. I kind of skimmed through a lot of these, but still talked about them as much as I could, just because SmackDown starts in less than 20 minutes, and I have to find a way to get this up before SmackDown starts. It'll probably be up during SmackDown, to be honest, because I haven't even had dinner yet either. So, yeah. But let me know what you guys thought. I always love to hear you guys' thoughts. If you agree or disagree with me, that's okay. I love hearing you guys' opinions on certain things and, like, everything I talk about in the headlines of the week or anything else that I talk about. So let me know in the comment section below. These podcasts are going to end up being on Spotify very soon. So hopefully I can get that done soon. And then, yeah, you guys can listen to it everywhere. You can just play it in your car, whatever it may be. So, yeah, make sure you subscribe, like, and comment. Hit the notification bell so you're up to date with all the videos, podcasts, interviews, and everything else that comes to this channel. And I will see you guys on the next one. Take it easy.